So, welcome to the No Shame podcast. So, entering into phase 2 now. So, we're on the idea. We can see that little bit of light at the end of the tunnel there. So, if you're here in Ireland, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're outside of Ireland, we are on the process back to opening up. So, for the fitness industry, which was some good news, you're allowed to have classes outside that have participants of 15 or less, and then social distancing still being in place. It's good to be back for sure. I know the effect that the exercise has on people. I can see day to day, which is a pleasure in my life to be able to be involved in, and I see the effect that has on people's health. I have to say, over the last little while, looking at people's social media and stuff like that, you can see the opposite effect of not exercise having on their health. Nobody in particular, don't be thinking, oh, hold on, what's going on? No one's shaming anybody, but you can see the difference of people's not just their physical appearance, but the idea of their approach to life and to social media. I could see an upturn yesterday, so it was like we turned the corner yesterday and we were coming back up. Now, saying this, gyms are only allowed to train outdoors, so you can train outdoors, and we're very lucky here to have a big car park and stuff like that. But some gyms mightn't be that lucky. So the idea of fast food restaurants being open, drive-thrus, hardware stores being open, it begged the question, the idea of the risk level compared to gyms being open. Now, I'm not here to be arguing the case or arguing the toss, but I really do think that the consequences between both are very similar. Right here, I have a 10,000 square feet building here, which is probably bigger than some of the McDonald's around there and some of the hardware stores. So I could not see a reason why people cannot be indoors in them places as well, where some of the queues I've seen for hardware stores for paint and stuff like this is not on, and then we all have closed our businesses and turned off our lives, turned off that switch. Some people are not going to make it out of this in both ways. Some people's mental health is going to be going this way, and some people's business is going to be going the other way, and that never has the making for a good situation. So I am a little bit skeptical about the what can open, what have we got facts for, what have we not got facts for, because it seems to me that sometimes when something is being done, you have to request the facts, you have to request why that's being done. But if you're putting something forward for something to be done, that you're being asked, you have to apply, you have to put all the facts forward, all of the research of why it should be put forward. But some of the decisions we've been made, I have to hold my hand up and say I do not agree with them. And one of them will be the idea of cervical checks and the developmental checks and stuff like that haven't kicked back in yet, which is pretty strange and pretty damaging to the future coming forward. So I hopefully that we're not walking into a situation where we have a time bomb. So we're going to be hitting that time bomb situation with debt, with all of the loans that people would have got. So the loans, and then the backup of tests, so the testing of smear tests and testing for cancer and all sorts of tests. And in Ireland, we all know. So our government has a terrible record on the handling of smear tests and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it happens to be the same ministers and medical chiefs in control of the situation that were in control of the situation of the smear scandal in this country. So for people that are not from Ireland, we had a situation over here where a lot of tests were showed abnormalities, but the tests came back clear, and unfortunately and tragically, women had lost their lives because of this decision. This had been put forward as well to the government. So where are we at now? What is important? What is essential? What is not essential? I had a lad argue to me yesterday that McDonald's is more essential than a gym, say. And I understand. Listen, if you want to eat McDonald's, against McDonald's, and there's no doubt that there's a million reasons why McDonald's is important as well. The gym is like that for people as well. So sometimes when we're arguing through all of this, something I will say to people is, please don't butcher each other. Please don't just come at each other heavy and start trying to attack each other's opinions and all this. Because that was my biggest fear going into this, was the reload of us coming back into a situation where we are... Hold on, 2 seconds, sorry. Where everybody is literally just butchering each other. And that's what I'm afraid of. So please be kind to each other. Please look after each other. Um, the announcements that have been made in Ireland, I don't know whether to laugh or cry at this, or I actually find it a little bit disrespectful, to be honest. But whatever, some people find it funny, and maybe I'm being offended. I'm not being offended. I'm just I'd like a little bit more professionalism. But we have seen the Lord of the Rings being quoted in her saying that was the famous one yesterday. But I think a few people missed out on the Terminator. The Terminator was also quoted as well. We had Seamus Heaney quoted, and don't forget our good friend Dermot Kennedy. So we have had these quoted in massive announcements to the nation. I'm not digging it. There's a lot of people out there that are still very much afraid of the reaction of what happened in this country, especially from the idea of if you look around everywhere, every radio station, every channel, every YouTube channel, every bus stop had this relax, get back in your house, stay home. I think RT still has stay home on up in the corner. Now, at the time that was important, I don't think I've heard it being explained better than this. You can imagine a situation where a building goes on fire and we don't all stand around arguing, oh, there is on fire, there isn't on fire. We go outside and we queue up and we do the protocol, and then there's an autopsy. Where was there a fire? Is the fire, was it started deliberately? Was it an accident? Who was the cause of it? Did we do the right thing on the reaction of it to make sure that everyone was safe? And that's the process I think we're in now. But will we see it being as thorough and put into our face as much as we seen the other stuff? Because I would like to see the undoing of some of this fear now. So maybe if some of the stuff that wasn't true, I think some reports were taken from the hydroxychloroquine. They were taken back and that they were put out as this scare, and that if you take it with COVID-19, you will actually have a more chance of dying. So we have a lot of old people out scared, and I'd love to see some of this kind of I don't know, the post-mortem, if you must, undo a lot of that fear. So if some of this stuff was necessary, we re-up on it and look at it now. And if the stuff wasn't necessary, we make sure that we don't make that mistake again. Last bit before I get into the day's guest. So I was in Starbucks the other day. I thought we were lifting the restrictions, not adding the restrictions on. I was there was an elderly woman and there was a young girl. So there was a hardware store not too far from it as well that has only taken up this policy as well, that they're not accepting cash anymore, they're only accepting card. I think it should be on these companies to maybe get some of the machines that Circle K have, so where the money goes in one side and the change comes out into a little bucket and cash is done like that. Because I don't think a company can just take somebody's rights away and say that, oh no, all of a sudden we just take card. Now maybe they can, maybe I'm wrong, but that is wrong. That shouldn't be the way it is, because I do not agree with the idea of being able to change rules like this, because every change and every little thing that we has a byproduct. So homeless people are now massively affected by this, so they will not be able to use the few euro that they have, and they get outside shops and stuff like that to be able to go in and get a cup of tea or get a sandwich, because they don't take cash anymore. I had this situation where there was a chipper who wasn't able to take cash at the start of it, and I knew straight away that was going to block out a lot of homeless people from being able to feed. So especially in one area in Tallaght around here, and I had to make sure that them people had access to a card, and what I've been seeing other people doing as well is they're taking the initiative. But on these decisions, this initiative should be made. So I want to see a sign on that wall. I want to see a sign that says when the cash is coming back and when it is acceptable to be, and what moves that these companies are taking towards helping these people that they're going to now discriminate towards. So whether you like it or not, it's discrimination. In a week of where I think the world has really woken up to the idea of standing united together and making sure that we're all united towards the cause of having a good humanity. So it makes no sense for me when we're lifting restrictions now to start adding in these separate little restrictions, which means that people are now going to be discriminated against again. So in that little section that I'm talking about, that I was actually there not yesterday, the day before, experiencing that, I wasn't able to use that service. The young person wasn't able to use that service, and the old person that was there wasn't able to use that service. So we end up in a situation where not only does that affect our ability and our rights as citizens to be able to use the customers' rights, is it affects the economy. So these decisions are going to have another effect, and it's going to be like, yeah, well, everyone will get a bank card then. I think that's your right as well. My grandfather, Lord rest his soul, never had a bank card. Had a post office book, took out that few quid every week. And that's, if someone wants to live their life, that's their prerogative. I don't think it's anybody's business to be able to get in. If you're a company and you're about taking money in and you're going to set up in their communities and you're going to reel in from them communities. And let's be straight, the company that I'm talking about as well got a massive tax break in Ireland as well. I think they only paid 1% in the last year. So let's get it together, So you can't just set up and then start discriminating against their most vulnerable citizens, which are homeless people and elderly people and young people there now. And I'm not discriminating in a way saying that there's a massive percentage of old people that I know, that's my own personal experience, and maybe yours is the same or it's different, that don't use bank cards and don't know how to tap and don't do all of this kind of, I don't even know how, but they just don't avail of it. And then young people as well, it's usually, man, give us a fiver, give us a tenner, and you roll down the street and you get your coffee or whatever it is. And yeah, so I don't think it's fair that companies are able to make these decisions to do this. So that's just my 10 cents on it. I won't be shopping there again for sure. Because the staff were amazing. The staff are really, really nice. But I definitely will not be shopping in companies that are going to make these decisions without making reverse decisions to be able to counteract the byproducts that's going to come from it. And anyway, enough waffling from me. So today I have the king of bacon on. So Ben is his name. This guy is a guest that I'm going to pull from the side, and you're going to be like, I've never heard of him, and you're going to be like, you know what, that was a brilliant conversation. So Ben makes cakes, right? And I say cakes, I mean this man makes cakes. So he makes Sunday dinners, and literally they look exactly like Sunday dinners, and then he cuts into them with a knife. I can't even explain this. We're going to put some of the clips in with this now and anyway, but I've never seen a man more creative or artistic. If he turned around to you and said, oh no, I make cakes, you probably wouldn't believe him. But if you've seen his cakes, I think that has a better effect to absolutely blow you away. Another thing that I've noticed during this, what he did is his creative part that came out, is he made his own pub. We're going to put the clip up in this as well. He's going to give us a little walk around it. I promised him, I said, will you come on the podcast? And he said, yeah, but you have to have a beer with me. So I have to have a beer with him. So second time we're having an old beer on the No Shame podcast. I know this comes out on Tuesday, but it's not Tuesday now. So don't be judging me saying Paddy Holohan was drinking bottles of beer 8 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday sometimes. So you'll have to forgive me for that. So I'm going to get Ben on here, but let me tell you, listen, this is going to be a cracking podcast. Hey! I'm at the bin ringing loads of randomers there, Ben.
How many Ben Cullens have you spoke to there?
Oh, stop. They're going to go on. I don't know. Well, I'm about to send loads of smiley faces and thumbs up and all. People are going to think I was just drunk off my head and bored or something.
I love that, man. I knew I'd mess it up.
You did.
Before it all started, I thought, I will not get this right. I've never got Skype right in my life, man.
Do you know what's going to be funny, right? I have the camera running, obviously, because I have it done like that. I'm going to get Robin to look back at me looking for that there. I'm probably, I aged about 50 years. I'm like...
Do you see that? I've just added a profile picture there to my Skype profile, just to make it easier. And you should see my face on it, just a gormless look, like, because I'm dead confused. I just put quickly through something up, like.
That would have definitely helped to have a picture there, because... Yeah. And then I hit the more button, right? And then there was millions of them.
Maybe popular. Ben Cullens.
I thought there was 3 Ben Cullens right there. And I was like, there has to be one of these. And then I clicked more. And we were in Australia before we knew it.
Jesus.
That would have been a random podcast, wouldn't it?
Oh, mate, imagine.
The randoms. Imagine that, just ringing randoms on Skype and recording it. All right, mate.
And imagine they just went with it. There was that bloke, weren't there, years ago who did it. He ended up on the news by accident. Did you ever see that clip? Oh, mate, he was a cleaner or something, and it was on like Good Morning Breakfast TV or whatever, and he was a cleaner or something, and a conversation got misinterpreted because the guy was late, and they rushed him through onto the set, and he went on live TV, and they said he was like the head of some sort of corporation or something.
I do remember it.
He got all confused, but he thought they did want to interview him. He just thought, oh, I've been picked, like. And when they said like, oh, so you're the head of the such and such, he was like, I'll send you the clip after. It's so funny.
Do you know, I was saying to my son's 12, right? And he says, so who are you having the podcast today? Then I said, 10, and I have this lad on, right? And he makes cakes. I'm having to explain that because I'm like, but like, you don't understand what the cakes like. Oh, I know a lad like that. There's this lad on YouTube, right? That. And what he does is he makes cakes, right? But they look like dinners, they do. I swear.
Was it me? Yeah.
Yeah, that was you.
How good is that?
How cool is that?
That is so good. I love that. When you were saying that, then I was thinking, who's this next guy? I was like, hang on a minute, who's this guy, man? But yeah, that's so cool.
I said it. I was saying it on the camera as well coming in here. I was like, Ben is one of these guys. If you looked at him and you said, right, what does he work as? The last thing you would expect to come out is, oh, I make lovely cakes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's always people's biggest, like, first stumbling block. No one. I've never met anyone who would nail it on. Even people think I'm joking. You know, if they ask me what I do and I say, they think I'm joking. But that's the whole point, and that's
it's like
my favorite bit.
It's like when somebody says inventor. You know what I mean? You're like, you mean you're a gangster?
yeah. People have said that to me before, like, oh, is it a side business? Yeah. Is that just you put the money through the cakes?
Yeah.
I was like, no, man, I make cakes.
Yeah, they won't know whether you're bleeding. Well, a drug dealer or a hitman there. Like cake sauce. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just loads of cupcakes. I'm like, yeah, what do you want?
Grenade cakes. How did you look? I said I'd have a bottle with you as well. I did, right? So I brought a bottle down.
Ah, there we go.
This comes out on Tuesday, right? So we're not sitting here drinking bottles on Tuesday morning.
I had to start without you while you were speaking to all the other Ben Cullen.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Me and Aussie Ben having a conversation. How did you get into this, Ben? Right? So I have to say, like, I'm a massive fan of what you do with the cakes. Now, I make well, but I don't look at your cakes as the way I look at other cakes. You know what I mean? So I look at your cakes as like this artistic thing, but like some of the stuff you do with it is absolutely. Do you lie in bed at night and just like, eyes open on a night? Yeah.
Honestly, that you've hit the nail on the head. Like that's exactly what happens. I can't concentrate on anything, or it'll surprise me. You know, I'll be watching something or walking down the road or driving, and then I get like I'll think of something, or I'll drive past something, or sometimes people will say something, and I'll just think, oh my god, this will make the best cake, you know. And then I have to do it. I rush. I always get behind with the work I have to do. You know, like deadlines I really should be keeping because I've had a weird idea that I want to make something ridiculous. You know what I mean? and I end up putting that ahead because I just have to make it. Yeah. Exactly like you said. The inspiration's everywhere, isn't it? So I just can't stop myself. I've got a million things, like an endless list of cakes I want to make, and I'm constantly at it. Like.
It's like obsession, isn't it? Like, and I want to explain to people here, when I'm talking about cakes here, people are, you're not talking about little fairy cakes here, so I'm just going to run a little clip there real quick.
Yeah, that chicken was good you gave me last night. Thank you. You got rice with that?
There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight from my soul. I think a falling angel just walked by. 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 There goes a sight from my soul.
And like, so you can see the level of the cakes that Ben does. You know what I mean? They're a serious level that thing. We're not talking about, as I said, the little cupcakes. Before we went into that, is like we're talking about people here. Like, so sometimes I've seen you doing stuff with like electronics with cakes and like moving parts and like that has to be scary going into something like that as well.
Oh, I think. Do you know what it is with me? Like, basically I was never into cakes, so I haven't got that sort of passion for baking. I never grew up with that passion for baking. I don't like baking. You know what I mean? Is the thing I always say. It's so weird, but it's not my. Even cakes themselves, I don't eat cakes. It wasn't part of my childhood or any of my passions. So it was the art side of it for me, and it was the competitive, trying to create something new, break boundaries. You know what I mean? So. Like you say about adding electronics, or I'm always trying to better myself or better what's out there already and try and sort of, reinvent the wheel kind of thing. I always want to try and push it a little bit further, because if I just stayed still, I'd get so bored so quick. So yeah, I'm always trying to surprise people and make it exciting, because I think as well that it's not, I mean, it is exciting, I guess, for people who are really into it, but it's good that I come from a background where I wasn't that into it, and it wasn't accessible for me as a young lad in Birmingham. It wasn't a thing that lads, it was predominantly a female thing. You would never in school, if I'd have said I was into baking, it just wasn't really a thing that that would have been done, so I want to change that. I want to make it exciting. And I mean, see, you say to me there about your son, that's the best thing I could ever hear. When I hear things like that, I can't help it, especially when it's young lads, because I think I've changed something there. Definitely, when I was a young lad, you wouldn't have heard a young lad saying, "Oh, this baking thing and it's cool" or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I try and make it accessible for younger generations by adding more to it and making it more fun and exciting and surprising and things like that.
I think what you do really well on it is that you can see it's like Art Attack or something like that. You have that Art Attack thing going on there. It's like you just slotted that into, and it's brilliant. And it works. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because Art Attack is one of them things you're walking past the telly and you stop.
Oh, mate.
You know what I mean? Don't
Yeah, Art Attack. Art Attack's not still on, is it?
No, I don't think so.
I was going to say, because that was like, I remember when we were kids, I remember my dad, it was one of the first things he ever bought. Me and my sister, we were waiting for my mum at Asda car park. And we were good kids, we were just sat there, but he was like, "Oh, do you want to run in and get yourselves a present?" And we were like, "Oh, what?" And he gave us £20, and it was like, "What? £20, mate?" And we ran in, I remember, and we had to share the £20, but there's this, I mean, I'm saying this now, it seems expensive for a video cassette, but I swear it was like a compilation of all of the Art Attacks. It was £20.
Yeah, that was like, they were dominant. They were the mafia of the game, you know what I mean?
Oh, Buchanan. Big dog, wasn't he? Yeah. So I remember we got that video. I don't know how I talked my sister into it, because she definitely wouldn't have. But I was like, "Hell, come on, we're £20. We're in it together. It'll be brilliant." Yeah. So I suppose Art Attack definitely had a big. He's probably stuck with me, in my subconscious.
I think it's stuck with everybody in the subconscious. Like, when you walk past something in the field or something like that, and you can see somebody laying out something, you're like, that looks like Art Attack.
Ah, yeah. Remember we used to do that, the big ones. Yeah, that was good.
And like, how did, like, back in the day, the reason why they had to be that expensive probably because you couldn't record on your television for one. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
You couldn't go and like just YouTube something. So like they had a product that was like 6 o'clock Tuesday, and you don't care.
And I'm just thinking now, like, were drones weren't as accessible? So he must have had some, like, a helicopter. Mate, do you know what I mean? That's mad, isn't it? But
it's mad how it goes smaller though, like that. Over the years, isn't it? Stuff just gets smaller. Like, you start off with a Zach Morris telephone. Remember, like, Zach? Do you remember?
Yeah.
He'd be like, "Hello!"
yeah.
And now
you're just like, happy. Yeah, go.
Yeah, really. Have you had a cake, right, where you've had the idea in your head, and like, because I do this with jiu-jitsu, so I feel that a jiu-jitsu mind or a grappling mind, wrestling mind, or whatever it is very similar to a creative mind, because when I'm in bed, like, my brain comes to life at night. So like,
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, she comes down and I'm like, your man out momentum or something. Remember that film? I'm scratching.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah.
We've built me gym past 12 o'clock. That's what I would say on plans if you must. My best plans going past 12 o'clock. But I've also thought of moves where I've had to have 10 arms for it to work. And I've also like if I only had an extra arm.
Yeah.
Have you had many things like that where you put it into action? Because I can come to the gym and say, try to move out on somebody, and if it works, sometimes you have a breakthrough, and then sometimes you have something that just, that is like, what was I even thinking? You know,
Mate.
you know.
100%. People always say like, how would you get better, or how would you get to a level in cake art and cake decorating, things like that? And I always, my simplest answer is always the failures. You know, I've failed so many times at the very start, especially because I just came in it from such a side angle. Like I always say like I came through the back door sort of thing. I snuck around the back. There was no build up. A lot of the people in the industry, they spent years, you know, perfecting their craft, and I just really wanted to give it a go, and I snuck in from a weird angle. So I've had to think on my toes, and so with that, I got things wrong so many times at the start, because in my head, like you say, I thought this would be incredible. I could do this, this, and this. It's going to look like this, and then when I start laying it out, it's, especially with the gravity-defying elements and things like that, it's just not conceivable. Sometimes it falls apart, but I'd always think it does work because it works in my mind. So how am I going to do it? So you know, it's a case of doing things. There's some things that I remember that, you know, recently, some things I've done that I remember trying when I very first started, or having the idea when I very first started, and thinking it's out of my depth. It's so out of my depth. It will never work. It will never be believable, or things like that. And then it shows you progress, that fail. And then, you know, eventually you'll get it right, won't you? If you just keep perfecting, you'll definitely get it right. So yeah, 100% failures is my biggest success, you know. It's weird. Like,
even you saying that, then there is that the kind of backing up my idea that creativity and grappling travels through everything, travels through cake making, through painting, through architecture, engineering, because that is how we think. We think in the idea of like, and it's like a failure in a way, is if something doesn't work, I'm gonna make that work. You know, and obviously there's the basics and the foundation stuff. Like, so the basics is in your game probably making the dough correctly, or making the mixture correctly. If that they're basics. If you don't get the basics right, the rest of it falls right, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, big time. Yeah.
So say and we'll throw the picture up. So you did an amazing one of Connor, right? Now, and Connor being a mate of mine, like, that's even weirder for me to look at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This was the first one I did.
Yes. Yeah. Because what I want to ask you about that is like, I was fascinated about like, how can the arms stay out? So he has Kane Connor, and the McAlife and all shared it as well. So like, how do the arms stay out? Like, how is it, like, that's gravity defying? Is that the stuff you're talking about?
Yeah. So I mean, you do use structures in a lot of the bigger cakes, but with things like that, you can use you know, if you get like Rice Krispies and marshmallows, you know, like Squares bars.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that kind of concept. They set hard, and that you can form them in a shape. And say you cover them in solid chocolate as opposed to ganache or buttercream, then that will set in a shape. So once you make them separate, or whatever the case may be, you can get them set. Then you can I suppose it is kind of like architecture. You know, like how you got to do measurements, you got to balance out the weights and try and work out. I didn't do that with that. When I say that, like trying to go on like a scientist, that was so long ago. That was I was so out of my depth with that. It was hilarious, because I'd just made a few cakes. I didn't have any notoriety, or no one knew anything about me. You know, I just had made a few cakes, and I was a fan of Connor's anyway. And he's just, obviously, he's got that look about him. It's ideal. I've always thought you'd be great as a cake as well. But, you know, some people have a look that you just know. I know I could, like, cake, you know what I mean? I could turn it into that. Or paint, because I used to paint. So it's the same thing. That, you know, they've got that iconic look. So I just remember saying to a few people at the time, you know, Conor McGregor, and they're like, oh, yeah. I said, I'm going to make him as a cake. And no one was asked. Like, people were like, all right, yeah.
What does that mean, then?
Yeah. And I remember thinking, is it just a stupid idea? Because it was for no reason, and it took me a few days. But it's just, I think as like an artist, you want to see if you can set yourself these challenges. And I remember just grafting on it and trying to get the tattoos right and everything else. And like I say, people were popping in the studio and like, what are you doing? Who's that? And I kept thinking, oh, is this crap? Like I can't, because they're not getting it. But I was really happy in the end. But that was a turning point in my career, because I got very much mixed reviews about it, because it went up online, didn't it? And I wasn't used to, I had no exposure online, so I wasn't used to any kind of
criticism,
any feedback, not even good or bad, And I felt the full wrath of the internet. You know what I mean? Because I think, yeah. It was because of his face. So many people said I didn't get his face right and things like that, which I can half agree with. And people were quoting other people saying it looks more like so and so. And then when I googled them people, I was like, fair dues, it does, But it was really an interesting situation for me. It was at the start of my career, and it taught me a lot about what I could achieve, because I was happy with it for what I was doing. What I was doing at that stage, I was so happy. It was my favourite. Still now, there's pictures in here, and like there's one there, like newspaper bits and that with it. And it was an achievement for me at the time. So yeah, I always fondly remember that. Like
that's the true feeling of success, is what you just explained there, right? Is that like you break through, and it's like you're no longer in line with everybody. Like, I don't know, like did you ever see Nemo or something? It's like mine.
Yeah, exactly.
You just step forward from that line, right?
Oh, do you know what?
All of a sudden, they're after you now. You're the fish.
Yeah. No, honestly, that's what you said there. That's an example I always use. Is about, I find it fascinating, because in that time, I remember, like I said, I told a few people I was going to make that cake, and nobody cared and nobody supported. Not in a negative way, just nobody cares until the rest of the world cares, So people were like, "Oh right, yeah, all right." And then I'd say, like, "Do you think it's a good idea?" And people would be like, "I don't know." I remember people saying, "Well, he's never going to see it, or people are never going to see it, so who cares?" Like, and I just remember thinking, I just think it'd be a good sculpture. And I kept thinking, like, I doubted myself, like, because people were like, "Oh, I wouldn't bother." Like, you should. There's easier avenues to start doing something else. But I remember thinking, stick by what you think, and if it fails, then it's on you, and that's fine. And when it didn't, and then everyone who I'd spoke to was like, "Oh, so I saw that in the on the Mac Life and things like that. That was so good." And I'm like, "Oh, I asked you about that when I was doing it."
Yeah. And I'd be like this, I'm deleting you.
Yeah.
No, but it is, you're dead right, like that. People do come into that. So say the idea is, say comparing that to jiu-jitsu or grappling, anybody that's a grappler or something like streaming. I remember times of going home, not being able to get the better of somebody. Now, not that they beat you up or something. So say grappling in a way. Grappling probably feels like making a cake. It's not that sore, but it's fairly frustrating at times, I'd say. Like a fall.
Yeah.
You're like, it's done. But then there's times where it just hallelujah, it just happens.
Yeah.
So I remember coming home sometimes, like, nearly tears in my eyes, because you just cannot get that you can't get that person off you, or the technique's not working on them, it works on everybody else. And then the days where you come through and you come home and you say, "Do you know what? I submitted such and such."
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, "Great."
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The goal means so much to you. It's not for anyone else, in it. It's the same. It's hard to compare what you guys do to what I do, because nobody's punching me in the head like while I'm trying to make cakes, you know what I mean? But I can see what you're saying. It's that competitive. I always wanted to do sports before anything. Growing up, that's all I did was sports, football, boxing, any sport. I tried all the sports, and I was certainly in them things, like you said, the failures were the successes in them as well, because overcoming a certain person or a certain goal, a defender you couldn't get past in football, because I was like a wing attacker, or someone I couldn't beat in a spar in the boxing gym or whatever, and then progression, and then even I remember when I used to box, I remember I didn't even. There was a guy there who used to train me, and I never beat him. Never, ever, ever. Not even close. He used to knock me out every single time. I remember getting him into my dad's car the one day. He picked me up from the gym, and I came out, and I was almost skipping out, battered again, like, but I skipping out because I wanted to tell him because I'd caught him. I'd just caught him with a dig, and it half like woke his eyes. You know what I mean? He was teaching me, so he was pleased as well, but. That's all. I only ever, and I mean, he battered me after that. There was a good 30 seconds left in that round, and I didn't see any more of it. Yeah, but like you say, it was a personal triumph, and that's like this. The things with this, I know personally the things I can achieve and I can't achieve, and then when I do, I'm like, I can't believe I've achieved that, and nobody else cares. But for me, it's serious progression to my end goal. Like.
But see that, right? That alone is an absolute gift. I think that's a level of a human being in a way that you've rose to a certain place in life, and not only that in thinking. I think even when you do get rose to that level of being corrected and being humbled and stuff like that, that I think a lot of the other stuff comes with it. So the idea of being able to like naturally include people and be natural. Like equality and stuff like that. So it's just in your life in a way, you know?
Oh, of course. I think, I don't know, because I always say that maybe it's, it borderlines a level of like overconfidence or something that I've never questioned. I've never put myself on a pedestal of being, I don't worry about who's in the line of who's in charge or who's the best. Or I've never stood in line, so I don't care. Like I've never saw anyone any different than me. I'd always say to people like, you can be better than me, 100% at anything, and I can be better than you at anything. Or I think it's important that everyone believes in themselves more than they believe in anyone else, So with the art, to say there was a limit, it would really like contradict that in the way that I just believe anything's possible for anyone, whether it's art. I would like to think I could step into an arena if I gave it every fibre of my being, which I would, if I set a goal. I feel like I could achieve anything in that, and that's the same with anyone else. So like you say, bringing that into the cakes, I knew it'd take a long time. Things don't happen overnight, but I thought I can go to the top of this, and as long as I can make myself the best I can be, I'm not too worried about if there's people who are better than me. If they're the best they can be, then that's fantastic. But as long as I'm the best I can be, then that's all it's about. So, and it's different with art, isn't it? Because art's so personable. You create your own, you're creating your own shop window kind of thing for what's coming from you. So it can't ever be a contest in that respect.
Yeah, but I think that's another skill as a person as well. So they say, the ability, if you judge a goldfish's ability to climb a tree, he'll spend his whole life.
Oh, I love that saying. Yeah.
One of the best sayings there is, because imagine being stuck in the situation. Like, I think it'd be more like a course, like the guy in the comment section. Yeah, he does know it all. He is better at cakes than you. He is better at fighting than you. He is like. I would give the ability to be able to do one thing really well as a master and to be able to offer I don't know, say construction on the other stuff rather than being a Billy balls about it all. Imagine being that guy.
No, exactly. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's the point, isn't it? If you do focus your attention on any sort of like craft, it takes a lot of work, doesn't it? And a lot of like learning and things like that. So you have to focus you have to put all your eggs in it in some respect. You have to become obsessed. That's what I did. It was like you say, it's not a I finish at 5 o'clock kind of job, because it's your mind. It's constant. You're always creating, and it's 24 hours. No. Every time you reach a goal you've set, it's gone now. You're at it, and you're like, what's the next goal? There's no, you're always moving forward. So yeah, 100%.
I'd like you to have guys in the comment section that couldn't make a sponge cake swinging at you.
Oh man, some of the comments I get, like, they are so bad. I remember when I first started getting any sort of negative comments and stuff. I remember my friend saying to me, because I'm just a normal lad, so I was like, I rang my friend and I'm like, man, you seen? Look at these comments, yeah. Get off this geezer. Imagine he was walking down the street and he's saying these things to me. He like coming straight out, like proper aggressive about me. Not even about the cake. It's just about me. I was thinking, oh, God. And I remember him saying to me, I can't remember what the product. It was some sort of yogurt. I don't know what. He said, man, just go on to like some. It was a yogurt or something. He just made it in his head. He said, go on. You can go on anything. You'll get negativity. You'll get people like effing and blinding about this yogurt. Yeah. Like really getting, and I remember I went and checked and I was in hysterics. Like the people online there's always gonna be people who try and like bring you down for whatever you do. So I don't know. I also think constructive criticism is a thing. So it's good to, sometimes I read things and, you know, sometimes I might put something out and I know there's something wrong with it. There's a bit of it that's a bit crap, like, and then someone flags it, like someone says about it and I think, do you know, I knew, you know, I should have. That's on me. That is. That's on me because I've called it and they've called me out on it. So I should have changed it. You know, cutting corners and things like that. So
I used to fit kitchens, and there was a lad that I was fitting kitchens with, and he used to always say to me, "If you say I'll get away with that, you've already lost."
Yeah. See, there we go. I agree with that, and that's happened one too many times for me. Yeah, I've tried to like cut a corner
and then I go working with one of his apprenticeships, and that's all he says. Like, should we get away with that? Should we get away? Your teaching skills are not as good as your fitting skills, mate. So he said the pub. I was showing somebody the pub right yesterday. I was that you made. Like how does all of that fit in there? But the look of the outside, it looks like a clown car or something.
Yeah, it is small. You know, it's how big is it? It's 10 foot by 8 foot. It is, which I thought was massive. Really, you know, when I was like when I started looking it up at the start, I was thinking that's massive, that, and then when you put it together and that, it's not. It's tiny. But like you said, it's best. There was a program on Netflix called something like little houses or little. I can't think what it's called. But it's about like the people like living. Selling all their stuff, yeah, and they go and like live in these tiny. Oh, it's called like Tiny House Movement or something.
Oh, I'd watch that.
It's a weird little documentary, and it's all about, you know, like, is it feng shui and that, you know, like the best use of space and light and things like that. And I remember watching that, like, really, I didn't need any of the things I learned from, but I really got into it. I thought, when this comes, I'm gonna like use all these techniques they've done and that, but it wasn't. It's a little square room, you know, so it's not quite the same. But yeah, I'm glad that I've made it. I've tried to make best use of space and just give it a real pub kind of feel, you know what I mean?
What did you see? You buy it online like a flat pack or something?
It's a shed, and it was just a shed, like. So when this the coronavirus proper kicked off and there was whispers of the lockdown and that, I was like, oh man, you know, my 30th birthday was coming up. I always go to the pub on my 30th birthday. I was like, I mean, I don't know why I always go to the pub every Friday. But, like, you know, especially on your birthday, it was my 30th. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do here? I thought, and I said I was going to get a shed anyway. So I was like, I'm going to get this shed ordered quick before they stop doing whatever. And then it came, and it was just a little project to keep me going. You know what I mean? Because I'd stopped doing like customer orders and things like that because of everything going on. So yeah, I just got obsessed, mate. I mean, I've took it too far. The little details I've gone to. I've got membership cards. Brilliant. I've got like stamp cards. Like every 10 drinks you get a free drink, which is just pointless because it's all free. It's just cans, and you know what I mean.
No. That's not pointless. It doesn't matter. Like if you're sitting there, you know, where is it out your back garden?
Yeah, it's in the back garden of my house.
Studio out your back garden as well.
Studio's like next to my house, so I can, if I go out the studio and go down to my house, I can go into the back garden. Yeah.
Can you go to the pub now?
Yeah, do you want me to go show you?
We're to the pub now. Yeah,
come, let's go.
So how cool is that? Your studio and your pub is right next to each other.
Yeah, well, the studio's relatively new actually, and I did it for that. I built it for that purpose. Like
that's the best way to have it. You're better off just having something there. They're the same with Air Studio here. Like Air Studio, it's our own. You know, it's
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so it's in my gym. We built it in the gym, so you can access it as much as you want and stuff like that. So it's It's handy. Sometimes I just chill in here as well.
Yeah, I know that. Well, that's what I do. It's easy excuse, and it to go somewhere else for a bit. I say, I gotta go and do some work. I just go and sit in there for a bit.
yeah, like hiding in there.
Yeah.
I was wallpapering and doing wooden floors last night, like 3 o'clock in the morning down here. Brilliant, though.
Oh, yeah. But then I've got nothing to show for it. You know, when I get back, it'll be like, what cake have you made there then? Yeah. I'm like, oh, nah, you won't be interested.
I have to say, that's probably the first time I've ever been told that you would look well as a cake, Paddy.
Yeah, you would. I mean, I remember thinking it early doors, like, because that's what you want in it, is someone with characteristics. I met loads of times people have said to me, like, oh, can you make a cake of my girlfriend or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, send me a picture. And then, you know, if they send me like someone so plain or something, I know I'm not that good. You know, I need, like, this is it. Like you said about Connor, he had McGregor tattooed across his chest. Yeah. So I thought, I'm flying here. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's an easy one.
People don't know who this is.
Exactly. Do I just tap this to turn it around? Do I? Yeah.
So yeah, I think you tap it twice. Oh, here we go. Oh, go again.
Oh, it's me again.
Oh, you don't have it again.
Why is it doing that?
I don't know. Is it?
Hang on a minute. Oh, here we go.
There we go. I'm stuck on now. Ah, deadly. Look at the size of that thing.
Yeah, so it's not massive, like I said, but I can't really see there. Look, I mean, this is what I mean about the levels. I ordered that. That was about 50 quid. You know, what waste of money.
Where did you get the name from? It's a good name.
Ah, mate, the story of the name's cool because, so I'm from Birmingham, innit? I'll flip it back. Oh, hang on. Let this out.
You're all good, no stress.
I'm like an old man here, and I trying to get.
No, you're making the same face I was making when I was trying to get this on.
Mate, what it is, it's you just tap it once, innit? And I'm double tapping it.
Yeah, and it's giving you the double shot.
That's it. No, the name is because, so I'm from Birmingham, so the idea was that it's like the Birmingham Bull. And just to get my girlfriend involved, like, so she was half interested in why I was wasting all this time and money. The barrels is her surname is Gun, so it's like the barrels of a gun, you know.
Oh, right.
A bit inclusive, you know what it's like.
That's clever. That's deadly.
Yeah, so
that got her on board straight away.
That's it, you know. Just give a little bit, and she's happy with me wasting all the time then.
Listen. You got to do what you got to do.
That's it, mate.
And from the outside, from the inside, look, I have to say, it looks massive from the inside.
Yeah, it's different from the inside, isn't it?
Look at this.
Here we go.
Class.
That's it in there.
That is the best. That is the best outside back bar that I have seen. I thought that was that a copper's hat there to the left? No.
This is my favourite little hat that I wear. I don't really know what you'd.
You've got full racks of crisps and on.
Look, that's it there.
You're the flag in the back of your helmet.
Yeah. Here we go. I've got the footy on, look. I always have
ancient footy things and an old DVD player. That's
it, yeah. I've got the darts on there. Got the Irish, like you say.
I know there's people watching this now and they will be out in the back garden looking at that shed, measuring it up for this. Like,
yeah, it's so good. This whole little area here, I love.
Like, you could sit in there and have a few jars which I made, play a game of poker, and like, that's it. You live.
I do, honestly. Well, obviously not with my mates at the moment, but every Friday I've been coming down, sitting in here on my own.
Right, do you know what? The creativity is actually shining through there, because when you look at the inside of that could be the corner of any pub in Ireland or England. It's not new. It's used.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. You know, I don't. I remember I was telling people or whatever, and they're like, saying, is it a bar? You know, are you making a bar or whatever the case will be? And I'd go, no, I'm not making a bar. I'm making like an old pub, like proper, you know, I want it to have that feel of like proper wooden, you know, used like karaoke on a Friday night kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Dicky alcohol smell on the floor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what you need to do? You need to get yourself an old geezer there that turns up on a Monday and just sits at the bar from Monday to Friday.
That's me, mate. Yeah, that's me. I'm always sat in there, you know. But yeah,
you open the door and there's just some old lad sitting there at the bar. Like, That's it. That's the only thing that's missing there is some live outfit sitting at the bar.
Hey, Pad, well, it's funny because I did start making a guy. I know because that. Let me just grab that actually because I left my beer.
Oh, Jesus!
Because at Christmas I made Santa Claus just like a 5-foot Santa Claus for no reason. You know, I've got no kids, I've got no excuse. I said to Erin, "Oh, do you reckon I make like a 5-foot Santa Claus?" And she's always just like rolling her eyes, like, "What for?" You know. And I'm like, just be good, wouldn't it? Stood in there. Yeah. So I made this Santa, and anyway, after Christmas, I said, when that idea come up, I'd got that Santa Claus in another shed in my house. So I was like, I'm just going to strip that Santa Claus down and I'll turn him into an old drunk who just stands at the corner of the bar, you know. But like you said, he was a big fat bloke, and it would have took up too much space, you know, with the small space got in there. So I gave up on it halfway through. Like, I wish I had now.
If you opening that door there and seeing a little outfit sitting on the bar, that's it. That's a maker, that is.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it.
I do. I love it in there. It's, you know, it was good fun because it gave me some breathing space from cakes all the time. You know, I always like to try and I'll go through a little stage after a bit where I want to paint some paintings or make some sort of sculpture or do something that's not just cakes. Do you know what I mean? And it was good, still creative, like you said, and good fun. But yeah, I've wasted like I said, the membership cards and stuff. I've took it to silly levels, like. But
that's top notch. You're gonna have people messaging you after this about coming into the bar. You know what I mean? So and obviously,
I'll have to get some more members cards printed, innit? I'll send you one over, mate.
Absolutely, we'll hang it up there in the studio. Get a doorman on there as well. Not to know he says, you know.
Yeah.
Ben, I actually really enjoyed that. You know that? I appreciate that, mate. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. And when you're over in Dublin, give us a shout and she'll bounce into the studio and we'll get you on.
Oh, definitely, mate. I'd love to. Last time I was there, I got in touch, didn't I? But not about it. We weren't to do the podcast, but just for some recommendations of where to go that you gave me.
Where did I give you? Did I give you Johnny Fox's?
No. Oh yeah. No, you gave me some good shouts for food and drink, but I said where's good to go for like a day out. And you told me the Leprechaun Museum. I think you threw me under the bus there, mate. Did you?
Come on, it's so crack.
It was hilarious, mate. That was hilarious. I was like, I said to Erin, Paddy Holohan said it's worth a shot, like, so it's definitely going to be good, isn't it? So we went down. Hilarious, mate.
It's one of the things that's it's so stupid that it's brilliant.
Yeah. It's crazy. Do you know what? I get really like, I'm quite shy with things like that. So, you know, like, I don't like going to like the theatre or things in case they try and talk to you. Yeah. So I was like, and when I walked in, the girl on the door, she was so calm. You said the ticket would go so calm, so nice. And she went, yeah, did all the things, paid. We said, just wait in that little side room. So we went and waited in the side. I said to her, this is nice, isn't it? And I'm a geek. Like, I like museums, you know, proper, like, just calm, just looking, finding out the information. I was saying to Erin, like, I didn't know. So leprechauns, like, so there is actual like a thing about it, you know, like some sort of substance to the story. I didn't know that. Getting all excited, and the same girl who was on the ticket, she came back through a different person. Like, she was all in the spirit of it. She was like really, you know, she obviously was a performing artist, and I was like, oh my God. Panic straight away because they really do get you involved in the whole thing, walking around. It was a roller coaster, definitely.
I'd love to see the money the Irish have made out of creating the leprechaun. Think about it, look. You know, that's genius, look.
Absolutely genius. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. And to tell you the funny thing about that whole museum, I didn't see a leprechaun. Like, I thought there'd be loads of things to do with it, but it was all the story, like a story. Yeah. I'm not sure what happened, man. It was
you would saw it at less money, and you didn't even see a leprechaun.
I didn't see a leprechaun. I was about 40 euros down. I was shocked. I was shocked to my core through pure performing art genius, and Yeah, Hanson the Leprechaun. So there was a big fella at the end, a big leprechaun fella at the end that you have a picture with.
Yeah. The No Shame podcast is sponsored by the National Leprechaun Museum.
I know.
We just send people towards it and then we get them on and we have fun.
I said that. I said he's on commission, Paddy, there.
Do you know what? I don't even get in there for nothing. You know, I remember going to the door and it cost me about €80 to get into the thing.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, it's expensive.
Go down now. Now I'm sending a direct message to your son now through this. You want to go down, mate. It's the best. Get you down. The lot of you go down. You'll have the best day down there. I promise you. Learn everything you need to know.
As payback, I promise you, I'll bring you bring you to Johnny Fox's when you come over here, right? The highest pub in Ireland, and it's
class.
Proper. It is, yeah. And the Guinness is probably the best you've ever had in your life, yeah.
Oh, mate, I can't wait. I can't wait to get back over there, honest.
When you come over, that's what we'll do. The four of us will go out and we'll get something to eat, yeah.
Lovely, it's a deal.
Legend, Ben. Look after yourself.
Nice one, brother.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. So that was No Shame. So wrapping up another episode. I won't even say Jordan lockdown now. What Jordan? I don't know what phase we are. Where are we at? I don't even know where we're going. But all I want to do is reiterate. I think that's the word if you get it out. Is that I think it's important that we keep the lessons that we've learned through all of this, and that we fight for the things that we want after all of this. We are the ones who run the country. The government in the country is elected by the people of the country to run it how the people want it, and I think we need to focus on that. Getting Ben on there, I think, was a great kind of equalizer and a show of like the creativity that is within people, and we need to celebrate that. It comes in all shapes and sizes and all sorts of forms, and it's I think it's a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? To have that kind of that newness out there, and that this new opportunity to be able to go into a life where we just don't make the same mistakes as we did. We're not jumping over each other come Black Fridays and stuff like that to get televisions that we don't need and own, and this consumerism that just took over people for the last 10, 20 years. I just like to see a lot of it change, and when people say I want to go back to normal, I think we should demand better than what was before all of this, because we are better than this. Look after yourself.